Welcome back to tonight's Sad Reality. This game has been incredibly fun. And honestly, this is not really one of the big secrets I have, even though this video is titled Secrets. But this game was given to me secretly, I should say. Um, and it's funny too, because, like, the guy who made this game, he also made a game called Nomad Idol, which I can't remember if I've played on this channel or not. But it's definitely something I highly, highly, highly recommend. And yes, tutorial, skip tutorial. I've already played this a little bit. It's really just such a cool game. Definitely something, if you play it, you're probably gonna love it. But he sent me a few games, literally just by email, and I've enjoyed them. So there's your free advertisement. Send me games via email. I guess. But please let it not be awful things, I suppose. Regardless, today wasn't a bad day. I definitely had a headache towards the last half of the day, so I can't promise I'm gonna be as full of energy as I typically am. But it's been good. And at least for me. I know today I was working at in retail as I do, and really the big thing today was I had coworkers who had to deal with this one older woman who was throwing a fit back in footwear that apparently she wanted us to put a shoe on someone's foot, and footwear was like, no, that's kind of gross, and we don't do that at our store. Um, I'm like, you know what? Okay, that kind of sucks. Why do we do things like this? Ores, cool. This manage units. Bump this up. Evertree. I don't even have pale orbs yet. Insane. Mining for dummies. But point is, wasn't necessarily too terribly bad of a day. It wasn't too terribly good either. I mean, just it was a day. I had an 8-hour shift today. I had an 8-hour shift yesterday. Maybe it was a 5-hour shift. I think yesterday was a 5-hour shift. My memory is already this bad. It's crazy. But then going into I guess it already is the weekend. Tomorrow's Sunday. Crazy. Tomorrow is a 10-hour shift, and then Monday is an 8-hour shift, and Tuesday is an 8-hour shift. So I'm gonna be maybe posting videos a little bit earlier. Just I know what I am is tired. For what it's worth. But I just wanted to talk about my life in this video. That sucks. Nobody cares. And maybe you do, but I want to talk about some secrets, and I think it's kind of an appropriate video to do so because this game was given to me, and I wasn't really supposed to make a video on it until now. The secret's been lifted, so I suppose I should share some things in my life. And I didn't come in this video planning a single secret, but what's a good thing to start with? That's like, do you say things that could damage other people, or do you say things that could damage yourself? It's YouTube, it's the internet. Do people care? Maybe. I'm also not gonna cop out of this either. Gosh, my first kiss when I was younger, I remember so very vividly. And that was because I was watching Rio, was the movie at the time, kind of. I was over at, a very close friend, one would even say a girlfriend's house, back in, I think it was literally their elementary school. It had to have been elementary school, there's no way it wasn't. But super, super young. Neither of us had really any idea what we were doing. And it just kind of happened. It wasn't really a me thing either, it was more of a her thing. I was like, you know what? This is pretty, this kind of rocks. Looking back on that, I'm like, wow, that's stupid. But hey, that is in fact a true story, at least as well as I remember. And I'm not gonna say my memory is good or perfect or even half decent sometimes. But that's definitely a funny story, I suppose. It's not a good secret, it's something I'm not super open about. Ooh. People that I hate. There was a teacher back in, high school, and I remember this very, very well. I'm not going to say her name, but it was very open that I hated her, and a lot of other students hated her as well. She just did not treat anyone very well, admittedly. At least not that I know of. And, this caused her to pretty much be resented by pretty much everyone, and I'm not the type of guy to let things slide very easily. Does the Bible say to forgive people? Yes. But I also think there's a reason that there were many, many tribes of people that were purged from the earth. Old Testament gang rise up, I suppose. um, but that teacher, I remember, gosh, it'd be really dumb things, like really petty things, like things my mom would do, that she would just keep doing. Like, if I had my backpack over, like, by my seat, she'd be like, you're cheating. And I'm like, well, everyone else has their backpack by their seat. She's like, well, your backpack's closer to you than everyone else. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move my backpack. But this would go on for, like, an entire test. And, this would, like, cause me to not get anything done. And then I had to go, like, retake the test and all this other stuff. But that was probably one of the lowest moments in my life, having to deal with that. Because I remember going to high school and I was like, why are there people that are out there to get you? It sounds like a conspiracy kind of thing, where you don't think of, at least in my opinion anyways, I don't think people are out there to get you, but then when you see people like that, you're like, there has to be some reason why it's just you they want, or whatever it is. And maybe it's because someone fights back, they decide that they need to dish it out even more. But that was literally every single brain cell I had in high school, to the point where I literally had to get placed in another class just to get away from her. Went through the whole school system and everything too. It was insane. And funny enough, I'm actually going to deviate a little bit from the story here. That was actually one of the funniest classes as far as what I got done in school, because we made a literal hydroelectric generator. This was for a class, it was environmental science. And you made a hydroelectric generator for one of the final projects, which, funny enough, like, it worked. It was like a thing that existed. I don't think I was quite there for the finished product, because they finished super late at one of my friends' houses. And I guess this is an old friend. He's kind of weird, so I'm not sure if I really consider him a friend still. Regardless, super late at night, and they went to go bring it into school the next day, and it fell apart in the car because it's kind of not exactly a small piece of equipment. And they were like, well, this sucks, we tried really hard. My involvement in that project was, I was kind of just the camera guy. I took a bunch of photos of everything we were doing, documented it, so if we did give a presentation, we had everything there. And I did way more than I probably should have in the whole documenting process. I just didn't want to use brain cells because I was so over that class. 2 extra level up things. Amazing. I've played this game once before if you saw the save slot on the left, so I am perhaps trying to use that knowledge and make something here. I love 2.5 dimensional idle games. It's like half idle, kind of, because you can let them do their thing, or you can full send. But gosh, that was probably one of my least favorite projects. I will say, funny enough, in high school, one of my absolute favorite teachers, in fact, someone I think is a bit of an inspiration, was, AP Physics. This guy literally ran the school from the sidelines. Like, every club that needed someone to basically sponsor it or whatever, make it happen, as long as it was, like, legit enough to people were interested and they wanted to kind of make it a thing. It wasn't just like a shit post. He would go out of his way to sponsor it. And when I say sponsor, I mean, like, be the teacher, basically sign off and say, yeah, this is fine. He was the same teacher that asked me for a copy of Among Us on his computer, so I remember when I brought Among Us to school and put it on, like, all the laptops. He was the guy that was like, you know what, you can do this, and they're probably never going to clear it from the laptops, because he knows the most about tech, and other people didn't. And it was just a class where, like, we knew we were the smart kids, so we just kind of did whatever. Not to say that you should do that. That's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Minor damage, fireflies are pretty fire. Drilling this is kind of crazy, especially early on. I think it falls off a little bit later, though. No, we're gonna do this for now. This. And I think I'm gonna go for trying to mine out the entire first layer here. That said, I don't think I'm gonna be successful, but I'm gonna try. As long as I just take it layer by layer, shouldn't be too bad. Oh, and this is already becoming problematic. I don't think this is going to be doable. I'm just going to keep digging down. That class is certainly something. Like, can you look back on high school and say you built a hydroelectric generator? And if it definitely wasn't my brain cells, even just having people around you that were smart enough to do something like that, I think is an achievement. Call it networking, if you will. It's not a good secret. I've been stabbed before. That's a fun story. I remember, again, very vividly with this story. I think this guy was kind of autistic. This was a camp for like smart kids kind of thing. It's called Duke Tip, which is now actually a dead program. I think it went bankrupt. But we were building things in like an engineering design class, whatever, with balloons. And I was messing around, whatever. We were like smacking balloons around, and I remember going up to my friends, smacking their balloons so it flies away. And I did it to this guy who I didn't really know him too well, but like everyone was kind of doing it, and I saw him do it with someone else. And then he just kind of like freaks out. He doesn't really say anything. He's very quiet. But he pulls out his room key and he just stabs me repeatedly with it. I'm thinking, this just happened. Like, it happened so suddenly. I didn't really do anything. I didn't really know how to react. I mean, I kind of squirmed around and tried not to let it happen. Admittedly, I wasn't bleeding or anything. Just a little bit bruised on my underside. I think it was my... Actually, looking if I have a scar from it still. I don't think I got scarred. I have a very, my skin's very soft, and, doesn't exactly like being, stabbed, we'll say, but I don't think it left anything permanent either, thankfully. Another funny secret of mine, I actually never, well, I'll wait till the end if I remember to talk about that one. There was a period of time in high school where I didn't have, eyebrows. That's a bit of an interesting story. I got to, I think it was pre-calc was the class, and I was just so tired, so over it. At that point in life too, I was e-dating, ew, gross, but I still do that, I guess, I don't know. I would be staying up super late to make time for this one girl who lived in the Philippines, who was definitely, someone to remember. Anyways, that's a whole story by itself. I'm like, do I talk about this? It's not really my secret, so I'm gonna maybe not talk about that one, because I know she's still out there on the internet. Regardless, where's I going? No sleep, couldn't really keep myself awake, and then you slowly start to realize that pain is a good way to keep yourself awake. So I literally just started pulling out my eyebrows, and this became a thing to the point where they were just gone. And I came home looking like a potato one day, and I don't know, it was just kind of normal for about 2-ish years of high school, I think. Time span might be completely wrong there, but it definitely lasted longer than it should have. That's funny, because then I get a laptop, go off to college, fidget around, pay attention in zero of my classes, still do well for most of them, or at least the ones where the professors aren't shitty. And, like, I just stopped pulling at them because I have other things to do with my hands, I suppose. It's funny too, I actually wear a ring on my left hand, and that is right over where, like, where you'd wear a wedding band or a wedding ring, as most people I know call it. I've heard some people say wedding band, mostly in retail, I suppose. But that ring I wear because my mom bought it for me, and she thought it was a good idea to do that to kind of help with the whole eyebrows thing, whatever. I didn't really make a difference. If you're curious what that's called, it's called trichotillomania. I do not recommend looking it up, as some of the pictures you might find are not exactly fun to look at, I should say. I guess disturbing imagery warning if you do look that one up. But it's funny too, because I learned that, so I played trumpet back in high school. I learned that one of the, I was gonna say the word kid, freshman, I was a senior, whatever, big man on campus, I guess. He also had trichotillomania. The reason he wore a hat was because he kind of pulled at some of the hair on his head. It's not just limited to eyebrows, for reference, it can be any type of hair, it's just pulling at it. It's kind of a subset of OCDs, but I remember reading on the internet, so probably not the correct thing to repeat, but yeah, that was definitely an experience back in high school. I don't think how many relationships I've been in that have lasted. I don't think I've been in a relationship that's lasted longer than a year. I don't know if that's a function of me or just the crazy world we live in. I'm gonna say it's probably a me issue. Uh, it's not you, it's me. Um, and that's not to say that I'm crazy, which if you've seen any of these videos, you already know I'm crazy. But that is to say that, sometimes wanting to give people a chance just because they're there doesn't mean you should. Sometimes you should run away when you see that things are bad, and sometimes it's hard for me to do that when it's hard for other people to give me a chance, I suppose. And that's very much one of the things I look back on and I'm like, was this a good idea? And I don't look back on life with any regrets, so I don't know if that's me coping or if that's just saying, hey, it's something to learn, I suppose, and in life there's a lot to learn, I guess. What else have I got? I dropped out of college, I think pretty much the start of my third year. I just realized from all the juniors I'd heard talking about it, juniors and seniors, that everyone was like, yeah, the program doesn't get any better. You're kind of wasting your time. And I was like, wow, that's good to know. Was anyone considerate of that idea? No, not really. I just know that I'd come into pretty great conflict with just about everyone there. And despite having made a network at the school that was, I think, like 2,600 individuals over Discord, because I was bored and also realized that a lot of the classes, just the professors didn't care, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna find some way to collaborate. And that's what I did. Network of engineers, there was this thing called the Engineer Bible, which I didn't make, but some other genius kid did, and it was literally just every file from every class, annotated with notes. I was just the communications guy. Also, I don't know if I sound nasally at this point, but my allergies have been kind of off and on lately. I'm sneezing a whole lot today. Click X damage, delay. You see a thing move, upgrade it. That's kind of the gist of games. Do I have enough time to finish out the first layer? I'm gonna attempt it. I already hear Firefly, there it is. Okay, if I click damage, this is kind of doable. Did I do this in a smart way? No, I did not. We're gonna go up, we're gonna go to these guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, even with good strategy here, I don't know if this is doable. I mean, 30 seconds is a lot of time, right? I mean, if we really want to talk about good secrets too, this channel kind of was a secret. I'm not exactly good at keeping secrets, but it was also a bit of an experiment, and kind of an attempt to disprove my original beliefs on YouTube. I ended up kind of reasserting them, and I don't know if it's just part of me living my mind, which is its own echo chamber some days, but I learned that you can't do anything in life without people around you. Is that a secret or is that the truth, or is that idealism? Who knows? That boils down to, if you don't have any real people watching you on the internet, you won't have any of those bots watching either, the people who don't comment or don't do anything. It's just, this is a view, and we assume people have watched the video, I suppose. I guess. I'm really curious as to what counts for a view. This doesn't do anything, so I don't have exploders unlocked yet. I'm not sure why I upgraded that. I think I was just saying, see thing move, click it, upgrade it. Which is a fantastic mentality when you're very much paying attention super late at night. Yeah, I don't know, I'm probably gonna keep it kind of brief here. It is, already a little past midnight, so I guess I am on to the next day already. All that said, do definitely check this game out on Steam. Huge shout out to the guy who made it. I know in all his emails, they start with the Fox Knox. I think that's his name. I know it's at the beginning of this video, based on like you know, each game opens with the company that they're by. Definitely check them out. Something worth doing in my opinion anyways, something I'll be doing. And that said, if you have any secrets, share them down in the comments. Just keep it civil, please. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your night, and I shall see you after a 10-hour shift tomorrow, where I'm probably going to be crying from how bad it is. Hopefully not, but I wouldn't put it past tomorrow. So, thanks for watching. Bye.